what the Democrats and the left made a mistake about is that they didn't realize that most Americans are not voting for Trump because they're racist, misogynist, and all that other stuff. They're voting for a guy because after 8 years with a Democratic president, et cetera, they still only had $500 in the bank. And that's what matters to most Americans. I want to be able to send my kid to baseball after school. I want my daughter to be able to take ballet lessons. I don't want to have to make a decision between milk and ballet. And if you don't understand that that's the case with most Americans, then you aren't around most Americans. And for me, what I notice, again, is that, and I'm not saying the left doesn't have ideas. I'm not saying that that a lot of people on the left or people who tend to be Democrats aren't good people, don't have good ideas, aren't part of the mix, aren't necessary for certain things in society. We need each other. I notice that the people that are making a lot of the decisions, the people that come from a very expensive a very privileged background, a family that's well connected with a lot of money, step into a very expensive school with very expensive walls that you can't get into, and then they go directly into a newsroom, back into academia, or right into politics or into Hollywood. What does that mean? They haven't come into contact with objective reality enough. They just haven't. And I promise you, that most of them have never had a plumber, a landscaper, someone in the military, or anybody that works with their hands at their dinner table. They are not, it's not because they don't want those people there. They just don't come into contact with them. The people of color they talk about, the people that actually need help, I promise you they don't know. And again, I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm just saying it's what happens. We get very segregated, and we are, you fall into a class substructure and you stay there, man. You do. And they have compassion. They probably have guilt. They want to make a difference in the world, and they start studying inequality, and they start seeing these things, and you have an echo chamber in these academic institutions, and nobody is pushing back. There are no conservative thinkers. There just aren't. There are no there are no real capitalists, because that's not who gets into academia.
Look at the difference between what happened with Jon Stewart and Bill Maher. You go back 5 years ago. Who's God between the two?
That's
Jon Stewart.
That's a great comparison.
Look what John. So John still wants to be invited to the same parties with Obama. Still wants to be invited to the same parties with Hollywood, whatever it is. And Bill Maher's like, no, this is who I am. And listen, if you're like me, because I talk shit to everybody on both sides, and this is what my comedy is, and look how much Bill Maher has changed.
Well, he's just speaking sense. We all agree.
It's true, but what you're talking about is very hard to do for a lot of people. It's very hard to do because it's like, oh my gosh, but what if this happens and what if that happens? No, sometimes you got to sit there and say, I don't know if I agree. Like, okay, so Kellyanne Conway is on The View. I don't know if you saw that or not. No. She's on The View. And they started booing her, and then Whoopi's trying to play the role of, hey, we're equal, all this stuff. Hey, I don't care if you agree. Let her finish her thought. And then she says, something about Trump. He says, I told Trump, and Trump responds to this. It's hilarious. He says, while the first team, Trump debunked, former President Donald Trump on Thursday morning personally lashed out at Kellyanne Conway over her new memoir. Here's a deal in which she recalled telling the ex-president that he definitely lost the 2020 election, while the first-term President Trump rebuking on Conway in her book this week. Via spokesperson, the latest lashing was posted on Trump himself in the Truth social platform. He says, Kellyanne Conway never told me that she thought we lost the election. If she had, I wouldn't have dealt with her any longer. She would have been wrong. Could go back to her crazy husband. Okay,
the problem with Trump is the minute you push back, he's like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
And his loyalty lasts as long as you consider him God.
She is. So listen. So
this was his most trusted advisor. Even she will go under that bus as he drives.
Let me put it to you this way.
That's my problem with Trump.
To me, Kellyanne Conway is Tucker from Milwaukee Bucks when they traded him to Miami. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You need certain players.
You need a dirty SOB to be on your team.
She was fearless.
Yeah, she was.
By the way, if he loses her, I'm telling you right now, it's going to hurt his chances. if he loses Kellyanne Conway. You can't lose Kellyanne Conway.
That's a good point.
You cannot lose Kellyanne Conway. It's like
she's got guts.
Yeah, you cannot lose Kellyanne Conway, but at the same time, man, you look at Trump to respond the way.
Do you like Trump? Are you worried that he's going to split the ticket?
If I have to choose between
DeSantis and Trump.
Oh, no. DeSantis is not running against Trump. I know that because I know that.
Okay.
DeSantis is not running. DeSantis was in our community last Tuesday. They did a fundraiser last Tuesday in Bay Colony. DeSantis is not running against Trump. Now, okay, I could be wrong. Last minute things can change because a part of me, we talk about it where we say, I think sometimes you think momentum is going to be on your side all the time. And I don't know if he's ever going to peak like the way DeSantis is peaking today.
Right.
Because you peak when there's crisis, and he's peaking.
Yep.
So it's not
4
a
years
bad
from now,
time
he might
to
be
run.
irrelevant.
That's the story. That's the challenge.
And if he runs against Trump, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one because Trump's going to play dirty, and you have to go dirty as well yourself.
I know.
And that's just going to happen. So it's not going to be a Trump-DeSantis ticket. You see a lot of guys here putting Trump-DeSantis ticket. I think that is as unlikely as a Kobe and Jordan being on the same team. It just doesn't make any team. It's like putting two big personalities on the same team, try to run together. It's going to be tough. Yeah. You need somebody to be Pippen. You need somebody to be the second, person. Yeah. Neither one of them are guys like that. So if it's against Biden, if it's Biden being on the ticket, because right now what the left is struggling with is who they're going to replace Biden with, what's their story going to be, how they're going to present it to the audience. The only way you can do it the right way is you have to come up with a health story in the next 12 months is probably what's going to happen. The next 12 months, Biden's going to come out and going to say, I went and had a test with the doctor, and the doctor's telling me I have a cyst or have something, and unfortunately, we're trying to do our best. And if you hear stories like that, that is the narrative, which is kind of like the narrative of soft landing and saying, "Oh my gosh, he was president while he was dealing with cancer. What a honorable man." So then America's going to get emotional and sentimental. Look, he was doing his best while he was dealing with cancer. Some story like that. Maybe it's cancer, replace cancer with whatever else you want to replace it with. But they have to find a candidate. It ain't Kamala. Nobody likes Kamala.
Nobody likes Kamala.
Not the left, not the right, not the middle. Nobody likes Kamala.
And let me just say this, too, before I want to hear you finish this, because I was saying that a lot of people on the left don't come into contact with objective reality. It's the same thing with the right. There are a lot of people on the right now who don't, the people that are making decisions tend to be, they're looked at by Americans as being very wealthy and out of touch as well, right? So, but keep going. I want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, so who do you have? So think about what's left after that. So then you got to go to Pete Buttigieg, which is who they want to market. Okay.
Pete Buttigieg.
It's going to be very tough because of foreign policy. Oh, you'd be amazed how many people behind closed doors are getting behind him.
I don't think America's ready for a first husband. I'm being serious.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like it's like America's where we've come a long way, but
let me tell you something, Bryan Callen. I think we are ready for a gay president.
Yeah,
I just don't think we're ready to see him kissing his husband on TV.
For America,
again. Gay president, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
walking down the
Russians are going to be like, that's interesting.
Oh, this is your guy.
Very interesting. And then Pat, going up.
Well, some say we've already had a gay president, but that's a different story.
That's a whole different.
You were saying.
So, and here's the thing, Brian.
Come on, Patrick. The rumors.
People like us that are like, listen, Trump, with the policy wise, you can't deny it, okay? And what pisses me off again, with my Democratic cousins that are, pretty liberal, pretty kind of leaning left. This 2 years, you guys have had a chance to show us, you know what, the hell with Trump, policies aside, whatever, look how good we're doing. Look at what's happened in these 2 years. Now, because of your guys' side's policies, you're giving him the easiest way right back in. So I don't want to hear the shit talking when he does win.
But
he's gonna win.
I don't worry about Democrats and I don't worry about Republicans traditionally. Democrats and Republicans are no problem. You got both sides of the aisle. It makes government move slowly. That's how the country was founded. I got no problem. Some people tend to lean more Democrat, more Republicans. Maybe it's a personality type.
Do you see what he just put up? He put a smile on my face. Go back to the picture. While he's talking, you put a picture like that. And you expect me to keep a straight face. This guy's so funny. Look what he does. How am I supposed to keep a straight face?
No way. That is hilarious.
Is that a real picture?
No, I think that's cropped.
That is not a real picture.
That's cropped, but it's funny.
Is it a real picture?
No,
or
it's not.
I was going to say that's
okay. It's not that he's gay. It's that he takes 3 months off for maternity.
And we had a supply chain crisis.
By the way, Matt Zeller believes it needs to be 2 years.
No way.
Matt Zeller, whom we'd love to have you back on.
Former CIA
Matt Zeller
government
believes
employee.
that the leave needs to be 2 years. But
who's going to pay for it?
Exactly. You're going to pay for it. I'm going to pay for it. So go back to you don't have a problem with the Democrat. You don't have a problem with Republicans. They're going to fight. They'll have the gridlock.
My issue is this far left woke agenda that has taken hold. They are, when you start talking about, when the New York Times runs 81 articles, I think, on gender neutral bathrooms, when the world's on fire, and this was back when, I think it was a couple years ago. It's like, you're so out of touch with how Americans think. You're so out of touch. When trans rights are trumping everything else, dude, you're talking about a very tiny, tiny minority of people that when you want to take children and put them on puberty blockers because you're an expert in gender dysphoria. No, you're not. No, you're not. And I don't agree. Let a child's brain develop. They go through phases. These are common sense things. And when the left hijacks, when they start doing that, the far left starts doing that, and they drown out the reasonable voices, what happens is it creates a whole bunch of people on this side who go, you want to go to war, dude? You want to go to war? We can do this. That's what I worry about. I really worry when I hear people over there talking about tearing down institutions and characterizing the United States as only a patriarchy, a tyranny, a racist country, all those things, okay? We're a lot more than that. We are a lot more, just like a human being is. Sinners, saints, and everything in between. Bipolar apes, and so is a country. We're a work in progress. We're a work in progress. This was called the grand experiment for a reason. It's still going on. The Constitution is a verb. The United States is a verb. It's an idea that continues to evolve, okay? But I think the Founding Fathers solved the political problem, okay? A little credit where it's due. The words you use like feminism, individualism, universalism, humanism, all those words were invented by the people you're criticizing and by a system you're criticizing. The First Amendment, which you enjoy very much, and saying what you want and screaming, was fought for. It was fought for with blood, and it had to be fought for as an idea, and it had to be won as an idea. All those things that we benefit from every day. You may be a socialist, I respect you, but you're also tweeting from your iPhone. So a little respect for the marketplace as well if you could, right? Let's be aware of where we came from. Let's be aware of the kind of foundation that was laid for us before we got here that we benefit from every single day. Because whether you know it or not, your anchor is in that bedrock. And thank God for it. Because the Founding Fathers, as far as I'm concerned, solved the political problem. You know who didn't? The Greeks and everybody else. So there, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, you're talking about John Jay, you're talking about genius. The Federalist Papers is one of the greatest idea in philosophy. I'm sorry, it is. And why do I say that? Because we still live in the greatest country in the world. Because everybody has a chance. We still have potential. I need music when I'm talking this way.
By the way, well said, bro.
I need air.
You will.
I want air blowing my hair back.
You
should have been standing up with your hand on your heart.
Listen, when you run it, it's a real question.
Dude, I was going to say.
Are you announcing today?
Putting skeletons in my closet.
You went through Callen.
Dude, I start going into a monologue. It's like I become an actor. I get tired of my own voice. I was waiting for somebody to stop me.
The American flag behind you waving.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.